In this video, we're going to talk about a suggested plan that you can follow to help decide what to make while leveling up a crafting discipline. Keep in mind that this information works well with every discipline except cooking, but we'll have a video for cooking further along in the series. This video is going to talk about the different tiers within each crafting discipline and the brackets within those tiers. If that made no sense to you, don't worry. It should be much more clear by the end of this video. Again, with the exception of cooking, every crafting discipline has clearly defined level tiers consisting of 75 level stretches where you'll be using the same materials. For example, from level 0 to 74, tailors will be using jute cloth. At level 75, they switch to wool cloth. And then at level 150, they move up to cotton cloth. Within each tier, we can break things down further into 3 brackets. These brackets consist of 25 level stretches and are defined by the fine crafting materials you're using in order to make finished gear. So based on our understanding of tiers comprised of 75 levels and brackets within those tiers, we can start to come up with a plan to level up without having to spend more time farming than we might want to, or wasting materials that we don't have to waste. To start out, the first bracket of every tier is where you're able to earn experience from refining raw materials. As example, from level 0 to 24 is where you'll be able to earn experience from making bolts of jute and stretched squares of leather with tailoring. Since we know we're going to need these materials later on, we might as well get as much experience from them as we can while we can. In addition, these are the levels within the tier when we'll get experience from the components we can make. As a rough guideline, you can safely make about 6 of each component and know that you'll use them all up in the process of leveling. Keep in mind that for weapon disciplines, you'll get the recipe for the basic dowels in the first bracket of every tier, but you don't necessarily want to be making a ton of dowels to level up on. You'll be using wood for weapon components, but if you waste all of your planks making a massive pile of dowels, all you're going to be doing is heading back out to gather more wood while the stack of unused dowels laughs at you from the bank. During this time, there's no reason that you can't make gear for yourself or friends in guildies, but you also don't want to be careless about how you use your fine crafting materials, because the ones you use in this bracket to make gear are the same as the ones you'll be using in the third bracket to make insignias or inscriptions in order to continue leveling. The second bracket is where you start using the components you made through the first bracket combined with insignias or inscriptions in order to discover new recipes and cash in on the bonus experience from discoveries. You'll probably notice that as soon as you hit the second bracket, you'll be given new recipes for inscriptions or insignias. The general rule of thumb is that each piece of gear will require 2 components and 1 insignia or inscription. The components should be self-evident by reading the name of each component in the production pane list. As you can see here, my tailor has 2 components listed for headpieces, 2 for wrist guards, 2 for breeches, 2 for tunics, etc. Take 1 of each and combine with an insignia in the discovery pane and voila, lots of experience. Once you've discovered a recipe, you obviously can't discover it again, so that's why you take the same components and combine them with a different insignia. Voila, another discovery and more experience. Leveling with discoveries pretty much doubles the amount of experience you'd gain if you were just trying to level using recipes you already know. When you move into the third bracket, you'll be given more new recipes for inscriptions or insignias. Use those and combine them with components like you did in the second bracket until you hit the next tier, and then you start over with the bracket 1 process. To summarize, bracket 1 you refine raw materials and make components. Bracket 2 you combine components with bracket 2 inscriptions or insignias to generate discoveries. And then in bracket 3 you combine components with bracket 3 inscriptions or insignias for more discoveries. Then when you hit the next tier of materials, you start over with the bracket 1 process. By focusing on discoveries, you'll use far fewer materials than if you ignored discoveries, and by having a plan in mind, you can more easily gauge how many materials you need to gather up in order to continue leveling. Again, there's nothing to say you can't make gear for yourself or others throughout this process, but you do want to be mindful about what you're making and why. You'll need a lot of fine crafting materials to get through the third bracket in any given tier, so try not to waste them.